Imagine entering a mysterious luxury store where nothing has a visible price. The realization that prices are hidden because this world isn't meant for ordinary shoppers. Luxury isn't simply spending more, it represents entering completely different worlds. At every wealth level, the meaning of luxury changes. For many people, luxury begins with simple upgrades like choosing the premium version. Eventually, luxury becomes global convenience rather than expensive products. For the wealthiest people, luxury eventually becomes something that money alone cannot guarantee. The journey begins. From everyday luxury to lifestyles reserved for billionaires. Luxury often begins with small, everyday improvements rather than extravagant purchases. Premium coffee becomes one of the first small luxuries people willingly pay for. Convenience becomes more valuable than saving every dollar. Choosing higher quality clothing is an investment in durability and comfort. Small upgrades don't transform life instantly. They gradually improve everyday living. Luxury at this stage is really paying for convenience. Many people don't recognize these everyday comforts as luxury anymore. Historically, comforts like soft beds, winter fruit, hot showers, and indoor heating were extraordinary privileges. Luxury constantly evolves as society grows wealthier. Luxury becomes outwardly visible through an upgraded home and lifestyle. Moving into a safer, more desirable neighborhood becomes part of the luxury experience. A thoughtfully designed home reflects intentional living rather than random purchases. Small material upgrades quietly elevate everyday living. Some purchases prioritize comfort over appearance. Quality replaces constant replacement. Luxury increasingly appears in craftsmanship rather than logos. Everyday life becomes noticeably smoother through countless small upgrades. The comfort premium means paying to eliminate everyday frustrations. Luxury becomes less about owning things and more about effortless experiences. Once you experience effortless living, returning to constant inconvenience becomes difficult. Luxury becomes publicly visible through recognizable status symbols. Luxury travel expands beyond local destinations into international experiences. Luxury boutiques replace ordinary department stores. Shopping bags themselves become recognizable symbols of status. Luxury brands cultivate exclusivity by limiting availability. Scarcity increases desire. Luxury brands increasingly sell identity rather than physical products. Luxury products communicate social signals beyond their practical purpose. Some people purchase luxury primarily to appear wealthier than they are. Luxury can become a public performance rather than genuine wealth. Behind the prestige, authentic craftsmanship often justifies true luxury. True luxury often exists in details invisible to everyone, except those who understand them. Eventually, accumulating more possessions loses its excitement. Luxury transforms from buying objects to collecting unforgettable experiences. Private wine tastings inside centuries. Old vineyards become the new definition of luxury. Some experiences offer breathtaking perspectives unavailable to most travelers. Luxury can mean sleeping beneath the ocean rather than simply beside it. Exclusive wildlife encounters become unforgettable luxury experiences. Dining becomes a curated performance led by world-renowned chefs. The memory becomes more valuable than any physical possession. Experiences are difficult to imitate because they are deeply personal. Luxury evolves from owning prestigious objects to telling extraordinary stories. The conversation changes from, "What did you buy?" to "Where have you been?" At higher levels of wealth, luxury shifts from owning more things to controlling your time. Most people exchange time for money, but eventually money begins buying time back. Routine household responsibilities begin moving to trusted professionals. Experts quietly manage increasingly complex responsibilities. Personal assistants and concierge services anticipate needs before they arise. Luxury increasingly means never waiting for ordinary inconveniences. Many daily problems disappear before they ever become noticeable. The true luxury is not the service itself. It is reclaiming hours of your life. Freedom from routine becomes more valuable than another luxury purchase. Everyone receives the same 24 hours. Wealth changes how those hours are spent. Beyond this point, luxury is measured less by possessions and more by invisible privileges. Most people associate luxury with visible symbols of wealth. Beyond a certain level, wealth no longer focuses on acquiring more possessions. The ultra-wealthy often lose interest in impressing strangers. Luxury evolves into something almost invisible: exclusivity. The fewer people who can experience something, the more valuable it becomes. The documentary now enters the highest levels of luxury, where access matters more than ownership. Privacy becomes one of the rarest and most valuable luxuries. For most people, travel begins with crowded airports and long lines. At the highest levels, the traditional airport experience disappears completely. Luxury removes waiting rather than simply making it more comfortable. The aircraft departs according to your schedule, not the airlines. The philosophy of privacy extends far beyond transportation. The highest spending clients may shop after hours in complete privacy. Silence itself becomes part of the luxury experience. Even healthcare becomes personalized and proactive. Security becomes nearly invisible, quietly preventing problems before they appear. At this level, luxury means eliminating inconvenience before it ever exists. For most people, vacations are temporary, but for the ultra-wealthy, home itself becomes the destination. Stepping inside feels like entering a luxury resort. Luxury amenities normally found in world-class resorts become part of everyday life. Entertainment spaces rival commercial venues. Rare automobiles become curated works of art. Entire rooms are dedicated to passions rather than necessities. Technology quietly manages the home without demanding attention. Luxury becomes effortless because dedicated professionals maintain everything behind the scenes. Some estates become so vast that entire sections remain unused. Beyond a certain size, a mansion transforms into a private estate. Eventually, acquiring more products no longer satisfies the ultra-wealthy. Collectors stop searching for another example. They pursue the one example. Original masterpieces carry a value beyond reproduction. Some collectors pursue objects that exist only once. Scarcity becomes the defining feature of luxury. Finding exceptional collectibles often becomes a lifelong pursuit. Auction houses become arenas where history changes hands. Practical usefulness of these objects often matters less than their history. Authenticity transforms ordinary objects into priceless treasures. Collecting at this level becomes an act of preserving history rather than displaying wealth. Luxury enters a realm where even immense wealth cannot instantly purchase everything. Some opportunities remain inaccessible regardless of wealth. Invitation. Only gatherings become more valuable than public luxury. Connections begin opening doors that money alone cannot unlock. Recommendations quietly create access unavailable through ordinary booking systems. Long-term relationships create opportunities unavailable to new customers. Exceptional properties often change hands privately before reaching the public market. At this level, reputation, relationships, and trust become forms of wealth. Money may open the first door, but character determines whether it remains open. The final evolution of luxury moves beyond products and experiences toward the ability to influence the future. Luxury has completed its transformation from visible possessions to invisible influence. Designer labels, luxury travel, and private aircraft fade into the background. At the highest level, wealth changes what you can influence rather than what you own. The greatest luxury is not comfort alone. It is the ability to shape outcomes. The ultimate luxury becomes the ability to choose your direction and influence your future. At the highest level, a single conversation can bring together world-class expertise from across the globe. Luxury evolves into the ability to assemble exceptional talent, instead of simply purchasing products. A completely original yacht begins not in a factory, but in a design studio. Creating a private retreat requires specialists working together long before construction begins. Global expertise can collaborate seamlessly to solve complex medical challenges. True craftsmanship begins with the individual rather than the product. Nothing comes from a shelf. Everything begins with a conversation. Luxury becomes completely personalized rather than mass-produced. The ultimate expression of luxury is owning something that exists nowhere else. Even at the highest levels of wealth, there are limits that money cannot overcome. Money cannot guarantee perfect health, reverse aging, repair relationships, or promise happiness. After every extraordinary purchase, ordinary life continues. Wealth changes the nature of problems rather than eliminating them. Wealth provides more choices, But choice alone is not fulfillment. The first luxury purchase feels unforgettable, but familiarity slowly changes perception. Humans naturally adapt to improved circumstances. This continual adaptation is often described as the hedonic treadmill. Luxury alone can never permanently satisfy curiosity or ambition. Luxury means something different depending on where someone is in life. For someone working multiple jobs, luxury may simply be a day to rest. For a new parent, luxury can mean uninterrupted sleep. For a traveler, luxury is finally experiencing a lifelong dream. For many billionaires, the greatest luxury becomes privacy. Simple moments become extraordinary when they can be enjoyed without interruption. Fame and influence can quietly erase everyday anonymity. One of luxury's greatest paradoxes is that success can take away ordinary freedoms. Sometimes, the higher you climb, the more you miss the simplest parts of life. Every level of luxury ultimately points toward the same destination. Time. Luxury evolves from buying convenience to reclaiming hours of life. Every luxury level pursues one objective: greater freedom over time. Every person receives the same 24 hours. Money can protect your time, but it cannot create more of it. Once a day has passed, no amount of wealth can recover it. The wealthiest people begin asking a different question. The value of time surpasses the value of any price tag. Luxury is not a perfect destination. It is a different way of living with different trade-offs. Every new level of luxury introduces new responsibilities. Luxury changes the decisions you make rather than removing life's challenges. Happiness and wealth do not always move together. Money expands your options, but wisdom determines how those options are used. The journey of luxury progresses from comfort to freedom. True luxury ultimately becomes the freedom to choose how to live. The greatest luxuries are often the quietest ones. The ultimate measure of every fortune is still time. Luxury evolves through every stage of wealth, from simple comforts to extraordinary freedom. Comfort gradually becomes convenience. Convenience becomes exclusivity, and exclusivity becomes influence. The journey ultimately circles back to something surprisingly simple: freedom. The greatest luxuries are often the quietest and least visible. True luxury is waking up with ownership of your own time. The most meaningful wealth is sharing time with the people who matter. Every fortune is ultimately measured against time.